What's up guys, I'm Andy from 1A Auto. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the steering rack boots in this 2001 BMW 325Xi. If you need this part or other parts for your vehicle, click the link in the description and head over to 1AAuto.com. All right, I want to loosen up these lug bolts. I'm going to use a 17mm socket and a breaker bar. Loosen them up. Now I'm going to raise and support the vehicle. We're using a 2-post lift. If you're doing this at your house, you can use a jack and jack stands. Now I'll take these lug bolts out. Just use the socket to help you get them out. I'm going to just hold the wheel with my other hand so it doesn't fall. Take the last one out. Then I can grab the wheel and slide it off. First thing I want to do is loosen up this jam nut right here. Just going to spray some rust penetrant on there and let that soak for a little bit. This thing's pretty rusty, so let that soak. Then I'm going to take a 15/16 wrench. You could also take a 24mm wrench. Loosen this up. All right, that wasn't too bad. Give it a couple turns. Next, I'm going to take this outer tie rod nut off. I'm going to use an 18mm wrench. You could use a socket and a ratchet, or even a socket and an air gun. Just loosen this up. Normally they're not too tight, so I switched to a ratchet wrench. Makes it a little easier. And just make sure the stud isn't spinning. If the stud starts spinning, then you can use a hex bit to hold the stud from spinning. Or even if you were able to put a jack underneath here and just put a little bit of pressure. Sometimes that helps. Take that nut off. So to separate the outer tie rod, I'm just going to use this front end tool. You can use something like this, or you can use, there's a couple other methods you could do. Taking a hammer and trying to tap it on the top of it, you just got to be careful you don't mushroom the end over, otherwise it's not going to go back in. Unless you're replacing it, then it's not going to matter. So I'll just take this tool and just separate this. All I got to do is tighten it up. What I'm basically doing is pushing the stud down with the tool. And there we go, separated. So make sure you don't stand too close when you're doing that, and wear safety glasses. And I can separate that. So I want to loosen up the inner tie rod, or separate the outer tie rod from the inner tie rod. This is pretty rusty, so what I'm going to do is just slide the the outer tie rod back in, and then just put the nut on loosely. I don't need to tighten that down or anything. And I'm going to try to loosen this up. I'm going to use some locking pliers. Just see if I can get this to spin. If you're doing this, try not to get too close to the threads where the nut is. All right, I'm going to try to loosen this nut up a little more. So that's moving. You just need this little, there's like a little sleeve on here. So just move that out a little bit. All right, so I'm using some bigger locking pliers, or like a pipe wrench. You can use a big pipe wrench. Just loosen this up this way. And it's a good idea to mark something on the inner tie rod so you know how many turns you twist this out. So I've already gone 1 turn. All right, it's getting looser, so we've gone about 5 turns. What I'm going to do is just use some locking pliers. Lock this right here. Take the outer tie rod end off. And use some other pliers. Try to take this off this way. And you just want to count how many times you go around. That's 6 turns. 8, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 turns to take it off. So when you put the new one on, or if you're reusing the old one, you want to put it on 19 turns. Now to get this boot off, I am going to have to take this nut off. So I am going to use an air gun. It's going to make it a lot easier. I'm going to use a 24mm socket or a 15/16 socket. Leave these locking pliers on here and just take it off. There we go, cut the nut off. We want to take this clip off the old boot. You can take a straight blade screwdriver. Actually, this one's a little too thick. Just take a pocket screwdriver. Start, get underneath here. Try not to stab yourself. We're not going to reuse this clip, so we can break it. You could even cut it off with a cutting wheel if you want. It's just going to smoke a lot because of the rubber. Loosen this up. Sometimes you can be successful and take these clips off and reuse them. I've done it a couple times, but it's really not that easy, so just better off replacing it. Should be able to slide this off. Pull that clip off. Now if your boot's not ripped, you're gonna have to pull the inside clip, but this one's ripped, so just slide the boot off first. And then same with the other clip. Just get in there with a straight blade screwdriver or even some cutting device. You can cut it off. Just trying to twist it, just loosen it up. There we go. And slide the boot off. It's the broken clip. It's the back half of the boot. Here's the old part. Here's the new steering boot from 1AAuto.com. It has a similar shape to the original, slightly different design. It comes with new clamps. Get yours at 1AAuto.com and you'll be ready to rock and roll. So these boots come with these special clips, and you need this special tool to be able to pinch this clip. Basically, when you squeeze this, it's going to squeeze it in and push it down at the same time. Now, because this is an all-wheel drive car, you don't have any room to get this tool in there. We could take the rack out and try to get this tool in there, or we could even take some side cutters that are pretty dull and try to pinch this. But if that's not going to work for you, what you can do, it's not the best, but it will work. You can take a wire tie and just put the wire tie on the inside, like this. We'll slide that boot over like that. So the bigger end is going to go towards the rack. Slide that over the steering rack. Make sure the wire tie is not too tight. There's just not a lot of room in here because it's all-wheel drive. Okay, with that all the way around, and take the wire tie. I'll just take some side cutters and just try to pull it tight without cutting it first. Just get it as tight as you can get it. Make sure it goes all the way around the boot. Need to twist it a little bit. And then once that's pretty tight, you can even twist the boot, and knowing that the boot doesn't twist, then it's tight enough. And then I'll just cut the excess off. Right there. Now I want to slide this piece on. You can take a little lubrication and just lube this up a little bit. Slide in there. Make installing it a little easier. I'm just basically using the threads as my advantage and just twisting it on. Just gonna rotate it on, and then I just have to push it on to this section. So I got it past the threaded section. I'm just gonna push it over here. All right, so that's good right in that location. Now I'll slide the boot over this. That looks good. All right, now I can show you how this tool actually works. Just take it, and everything's lined up. Then you squeeze it, tightens it up, pushes it in. Now it's nice and tight. All right, I am going to use a little bit of anti-seize on this tie rod. It was difficult coming out, so just put a little bit on, not too much. It'll just make it easier to reinstall. And also, if I have to remove it ever again, then it'll make it easier to remove. Put the nut on. Take this little cup. This is what squeezes the tie rod together to make sure it's tight so it doesn't move. Slide that on. And we're gonna count 19 times. 1, 2, 3, 18, 19. Okay, so that's where it was when we took it off. Let's wipe some of this away. And we'll take this end, slide this back into the knuckle. Take the nut and install the nut. Now I'm going to tighten up this nut. I'm just going to use an 18mm swivel, and as you can see, the stud is spinning. So I'll take a 5mm hex key and go right in the top of the stud. That's going to prevent it from spinning as I tighten this up. All right, snug that up a little bit. Then if you want to use a torque wrench, you can torque this nut to 48 foot-pounds. It's kind of hard to get a torque wrench in this small location. So I'm just going to use an 18mm wrench and just tighten it up. That's good. And then take a 15/16, tighten up this jam nut. If you can get a torque wrench on this, if you have a crow's foot, you can tighten this to 33 foot-pounds. All right, that's good. Take off my locking pliers. So whenever you're replacing any of these steering components, it's a good idea to go to a shop after you're done doing the job and have the vehicle aligned. Otherwise, you can have premature tire wear. Now I'm going to install the wheel, line it up with the lug holes, and I'll hold the wheel on. Grab a socket with my lug bolt, get that started. All right, now I can lower the vehicle and torque the lug nuts. Now I'm going to use a 17mm socket and this torque wrench that we sell at 1AAuto.com. I'm going to torque these lug bolts to 95 foot-pounds in a star pattern so that it torques the wheel down evenly. Just go around again.
Thanks for watching. Visit 1AAuto.com for quality auto parts shipped to your door, the place for DIY auto repair. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button.